Hello everyone, back to today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days for today's second video, which takes us to the 31st of May. So we're going to the final day of meteorological spring 2019. With this video, we'll be able to extend out beyond that through the first week of June with the extended ECM ensembles and also the GFS. So it runs around a couple of weeks. Have a look at CFSV2 as usual at the end of the video. The ECM 30-day update has just been released earlier on this afternoon. Actually, I'm running quite late today, so sorry about that. ECM 30-day update has been released, or was released earlier on today. That's covering the weather for next month in the UK and the rest of Europe as well. Have a look at that and see what the ECM is forecasting for the next 4 weeks. We're going to begin this video, though, in the tropical Atlantic. Now, we still have not reached the start of the tropical Atlantic hurricane season yet. So that runs from the 1st of June through to the final day of November. So the official Atlantic hurricane season is 1st of June to 30th of November. But of course, as we always say, the weather does not stick to these strict criteria. The weather doesn't know for the Atlantic hurricane season. We have it as the 1st of June to the last day of November. So you can get tropical storms and hurricanes before and after that. And we've actually got a subtropical storm in the Atlantic Ocean. Right now, there is Andrea. So we're at the National Hurricane Center website. Leave a link to this website in the description at YouTube. We link to this at Gazwaviz as well on the links page. So that is subtropical storm Andrea. And subtropical storm Andrea is currently getting maximum sustained winds of 40 miles an hour with a minimum central pressure of 1,007 millibars. Now, if we click on it, we don't see all that much information, actually. But what we can see is the wind speed probabilities. So if we can get that working, which maybe we can't, yes we can. So this is heading towards Bermuda. There's Bermuda just there, of course. That's the current position of subtropical storm Andrea. So you're going to move in that sort of direction towards Bermuda. We're not talking about anything too severe with the wind. So the probability is kind of like 10 to 30% probability of tropical storm force winds. So that's kind of like above 40 miles an hour. So we're not talking about anything too bad with this. It doesn't look like it's going to whip itself up into a hurricane, famous last words. But it's just interesting that we've got this subtropical storm already. Subtropical storm Andrea is already going before we've actually started the official beginning of the 2019 hurricane season. These are the names that we've got coming up, by the way, for this year's season. I'm on the Atlantic hurricane season page at Wikipedia. So here's Andrea, just there, active at the moment already. We have our first named tropical storm. But we've also got in the list this year Barry, Chantel, Dorian, Erin, Ferdinand, Gabrielle, Humberto, Imelda, Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, and Nesta. I mean, if we come over to this column, if we start using these names over here, then we really are having a big hurricane season. I've also got Olga, Pablo, Rebecca, Sebastian, Tanya, Van, and Wendy. If we go beyond Wendy, then I think we start going into numbers. I'm not sure what happens if we go beyond Wendy. I think the 2005 hurricane season did actually go beyond the final sort of listed name. I'm not sure quite what happened, but I'm pretty certain that in 2005 we did go beyond the official list. I think they started using numbers then. And actually, that was one of those years where we did get a hurricane or a tropical storm after the 30th of November as well. That's a really, really big season in 2005. But anyway, those are the names that we've got for this year, and as I said, we've already started with this season with Andrea, so it's going to be interesting to see over the next few weeks and months just how active this hurricane season is going to get. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. The red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average, starting off quite close to average at the moment. Going to go a bit warmer into the weekend for a while, and then temperatures dropping later in the bank holiday weekend and through into the opening days of June. This is how we're looking through the first week of June, that period just there. So a bit of a split, but overall not too far from average, although there are some quite warm ensemble members appearing in this period actually. So there's a chance that it could turn a lot warmer through the first week of June. Only a chance at the moment. That's very extended range stuff, and it's in the unreliable time frame of the GFS and its ensembles. Now, precipitation-wise, this is quite striking. You remember 2 or 3 days ago, these charts were looking very unsettled. There's a lot of rainfall spikes. Well, now, it looks like we're mainly dry to the weekend. And even over the weekend, it's not overly unsettled, you have to say. There are precipitation spikes there. There will be some showery rain over the weekend. But overall, that is not a particularly wet ensemble. Now, this is for London, so it's down in the southeastern part of the country. Maybe if we looked at somewhere like Manchester. In fact, let's do that. Let's just quickly flip this over to Manchester. And they're the precipitation spikes that we've got from Manchester. So even there, you can see that certainly for the next sort of 5 days or so, maybe more, there's hardly any precipitation to speak of. Into the bank holiday weekend, particularly the second half of the bank holiday weekend, then through to next week, there are precipitation spikes. That's in the period of the model in its ensemble where it's subject to change, so it's not that reliable. And even then, it's not overly wet. Those precipitation spikes aren't that big. So yes, there will be some showery rain later in bank holiday weekend if that comes off, and through to next week. But it's not overly unsettled. And one thing that I think we've got to think about as we go in towards the summer is that despite the fact that very often we are going into what should be an unsettled pattern. I mean, we've had a lot of northern blocking this month, and we had a southerly tracking jet stream. Really, we should have had quite an unsettled month, I think. But somehow or other, we're actually going to come away with quite a dry May. It's going to be a very dry spring as well. And so, to me, it appears that we still haven't really broken away from the really dry spell of weather that we started around this time last year. So around this time last year, around May last year, that we started with this very dry pattern. And whilst the weather is having a go a lot of the time at getting itself into an unsettled situation, somehow or other it just never quite seems to come off, and it always seems to finish up a lot drier than either the models and the ensembles are forecasting, or you would expect from the overall weather pattern. Now, within that, we have had unsettled periods, particularly the first 2 weeks of March were very unsettled, did produce a lot of very useful rainfall through those first 2 weeks of March. But generally, let me know what you think in the comments. To me, it generally doesn't seem as though we are able to sustain unsettled wet spells of weather for any particular length of time. And when we do go into an unsettled spell of weather, generally it's not as wet as you would expect it to be. It's not as much rain around, just generally around the country, as you would expect from the synoptic setup. And the unsettled spells that the models and the ensembles are forecasting still seem to be getting pushed back a lot of the time, and still seem to be getting downgraded a lot of the time, which tells me that fundamentally we are still potentially in quite a dry setup. We've been in this for around a year, and if it goes on into the summer, obviously things start getting a little bit more critical then. Let me know what you think in the comments. I know AccuWeather.com is forecasting potential for a drought this summer. Haven't looked at the forecast in depth yet, but I know they're forecasting quite a dramatic summer. With drought threatening is the headline for our part of Europe. And well, just let me know what you think in the comments. To me, it doesn't feel as though we're out of this dry spell of weather yet, but maybe other people have got a different experience. I'm right in the centre of England, so we're away from the coast. We don't tend to get a great deal of rain a lot of the time, anyway, where I am. So let me know what you think from your area, whether we are out of the dry spell that we started a year ago or not. Right, temperature anomalies from the 21st to 29th of May, very close to average, not a particularly big deviation either way. And precipitation anomalies for England and Wales, average to dry and average. Scotland looking quite unsettled, above average rainfall up there. This is how the GFS operational run is looking for Friday, bringing down a cool and showery northerly on Friday. Into bank holiday weekend, get a bit of a ridge from the Azores high through Saturday, still holding on Sunday, but on Monday low pressure starts to head in from the North Atlantic. That should turn us unsettled through next week, so it's low pressure sinking down through the country by Wednesday, 29th of May. That should bring showers or longer spells of rain and quite cool temperatures too. That's how we look at day 10. Still quite unsettled. We're within a trough of low pressure, so you'd expect quite unsettled conditions there. And as I said, we'll be illuminating next week to see how much precipitation we get from what are really quite unsettled patterns. I mean, we've got low pressure coming in of the Atlantic on Tuesday. It's out to west of Ireland on Wednesday, sitting over the top of the country as a trough of low pressure on Thursday, and on Friday we're still within that trough. So next week should provide useful rain on most days for many parts of the country. So be illuminating to see whether we get as much rain as you would expect, given the synoptic pattern. Now, the more extended range going into the first week of June, we actually start to build high pressure in then. So a lot of dry, fine, and potentially warm or very warm weather taking place through the first week of June. If that comes off, the winds are coming in from a southeasterly, east-southeasterly direction. You expect temperatures to be pushing up into the mid to potentially upper 20 Celsius, I would have thought, with those east winds. And this feature over here is interesting. This looks like it could be some sort of tropical feature heading up the eastern side of America. Of course, this is Canada and Newfoundland up here, so eastern seaboard of America is going to be kind of like around there. And that low pressure just there looks like it's probably some sort of tropical feature. So whether that is Andrea, I'm not sure, but it could be another storm that the GFS is forecasting to develop, but looking quite active over on that side of the Atlantic in a couple of weeks' time. All unreliable time frame stuff, of course. GFS parallel run, again we've got that ridge from the Azores high into the weekend, and then it pulls away from us as we head through to bank holiday Monday. Low pressure starts heading for off the Atlantic. That could bring showers or longer spells of rain, and through next week quite unsettled. That very unsettled really from a synoptic point of view. We are under a trough of low pressure across the country there middle of next week, so that should bring quite a bit of rain with it. We shall see whether that does in fact happen. Heading up towards day 10, the low pressure moves away to our east. We pull down these cool northerly winds once again for the final day of May. And then into early June, we set up this pattern of high pressure to the east and low pressure to the west. Still looks quite showery, actually, quite unsettled, but warmer. Winds are pushing up from a southerly, southeasterly direction. We finish up with the parallel GFS run under an area of high pressure, turning us dry and warm there on Thursday, the 6th of June. ECMWF, again, quite showery and a little bit on the cool side for the end of this week. Weekend not starting off too bad. Bank holiday weekend not starting off too bad, but by bank holiday Monday, that high pressure pulls out to our west. Low pressure begins to move in from the Atlantic, bringing risk of showers, longer spells of rain. And then going up towards day 10, when it looks increasingly unsettled through the course of next week, low pressure is well and truly in control. That's how we look at day 10, Friday 31st of March. Low pressure is still over top of the country. You would expect showers or longer spells of rain with that. And it's pretty cool as well with the winds coming in from a northerly direction. These are the options we have on the table within the ECM ensembles today at day 10, which is the final day of May. We've got 23 members of the ECM ensembles, including the control and operation run. The operation run is run we're just looking at, that have below average heights, low pressure almost over the top of the UK, with above average heights out to west. So cool and unsettled with those showery and with winds from a north-northwesterly direction. Cool temperatures as well. 18 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure to our east. High pressure is out to the northwest. So again, they're quite cool and showery winds coming in from a northwest direction. Maybe not quite as unsettled as these ones just here with these ones. But still generally been on the showery side. And we've got 10 with, again, above average heights out to our west. But the low pressure's further north. And so that's a drier, but still quite cool scenario for the final day of May. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This is the 5th of June. So we've got 21 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure out to our west. And we're bringing in those southwesterly winds with those ones. Then we've got 16, so they're unsettled of course, but relatively mild winds from southwest. We've got 16 with low pressure kind of like just to our south-southwest. They could be bringing up the wind from a southerly direction, so potentially very warm with those, but a little bit volatile, maybe some thunder. And then 14 with low pressure to our east-southeast, high pressure starting to build up over Scandinavia, so probably trying to turn the wind into an easterly direction. Could be a bit showery in the south. These are the options that I've got on the table within the CFS V2, and not the options that are on the table. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly flowchart from the CFS V2. It's been a really long day today, so sorry about that. 21st of May to 27th has above average heights over into the north of the country in coming week. Winds are from the north, so relatively cool, but a fair amount of dry weather coming up in the next few days, and won't feel too bad in the sunshine. 28th of May to 3rd of June, lots more unsettled, below average heights over to the east of the country, above average heights in the Atlantic going up to Greenland, troughing with a 500 millibar flow. That one would be cool, and it would be unsettled as well. Week 3 is the 4th to the 10th of June with the above average heights over to the east of the country. We're bringing up winds from a southerly direction with those, so a fair amount of dry weather and much warmer as well potentially. And then week 4 is the 11th to the 17th of June. High pressure back to Greenland and Iceland again, but extends down through the UK. Low pressures to our southwest, and we'd be bringing up winds from an east-southeast direction. So both places are very warm, but also potentially quite unsettled, maybe thundery hints with low pressure trying to push in from the south and the southwest. It's a mixed bag, but I think what we need to focus on primarily is next week's weather. Next week on paper looks like it's going to be cool, unsettled, showery with quite a bit of rain. The GFS Ensemble didn't really indicate all that much rain, so we shall see. It's going to be illuminating to see whether next week is as unsettled as you would expect it to be from those synoptics. Could be very telling week next week, actually. Finally, if you're enjoying the videos at the moment, please can you consider becoming a patron for Gaz Weathervids. We have got 60 patrons so far. Hello, and a big thank you to all 60 of our patrons. We hope you're enjoying the content that we're producing at Gaz Weathervids. So, if you'd like to become patron for Gaz Weathervids and help support website, all you need to do is come to Gazzo's Patreon page, sign up for a Patreon account, and then give an ongoing monthly donation to Gazzo. It can be anything from $1 a month upwards. It doesn't have to be a large amount of money whatsoever, but by doing that, you become a patron for Gazzo. And yeah, just a big thank you to all of our patrons. Been running this around a year now. Starting in June, I think, last year, and been a huge success. So thanks so much to all of our patrons. You'll get a mention in the videos if you become a patron as well. We'll give you a shout out and say thank you very much for that. Alternatively, you can give a one-off donation through PayPal. So this is really simple. You just come to Gazzo's PayPal page, sign into your PayPal account, and then you can send a one-off donation to Gazzo. So again, you're helping to pay for the content, helping to pay for the website, and keep the content online. So big thank you to all of the patrons. Big thank you to all of the donors. Yeah, you're doing something really special forget how slow it is. Right, that's it for today's second video, and we are done with today's videos actually. Tomorrow we'll have the 5-day forecast, have another week 10-day video update as well, and I think we're up to update number 6 for the late spring bank holiday weekend. So come back for tomorrow's videos, but that's all for now, and thanks for watching.